So this is part of our initiative of telling 50 stories of the last 50 years. And we are telling a very special story today. And it is in celebration of the 30th anniversary of the Bay Journal, which was started as an Alliance program 30 years ago. And so we're here chatting with some of the folks that were there and helped make it happen when the idea was first born, and we're talking with new leadership and direction and where the Bay Journal is heading in the future, and it's just a very exciting opportunity for us all to be celebrating so many great things together. From your perspective, how did the concept of the Bay Journal come to be?
I think the Bay Journal came about at a really special moment in time in a situation that would be really hard to duplicate. At the time, the Alliance was emerging as a leader in the nonprofit scene, definitely an advocate for the Bay, but at the same time, my sense of it is that they were very committed to brokering difficult conversations. Fran Flanagan, who was a key leader of the Alliance at the time, in the executive director position, was really known for her ability to bring people into a room that might not otherwise have been in the room together. She emphasized talking and listening. And I think coming out of that perspective, she really valued public outreach, not just for things that served the Bay directly or served the Alliance, but that really furthered public understanding of what was going on with the Bay Restoration. So she came at it from that perspective. And at the Chesapeake Bay program, you had state leaders as well as leaders at the Environmental Protection Agency who equally valued public engagement and public outreach. And so they were able to provide to the Alliance a grant to get this publication started. And Karl Blankenship quickly came on board as staff to produce that. He brought the professional journalism side to it. And the unique thing about that moment was that the Chesapeake Bay program, even though they were providing funds for it, and the Alliance, even though they were, enabling and distributing and promoting this publication, did not try to take over content. They allowed the Bay Journal to emerge under Karl's leadership in a way that really put journalistic ethics and professionalism at the forefront. And from that moment, it grew. But it became clear eventually that the Bay Journal itself couldn't grow unless it became its own nonprofit organization. And so that happened by creating Bay Journal Media in 2008. And now we publish independently and continue to expand that reach.
That's great. That is a great perspective. Thank you.
Well, I think one thing that's important is that it has independence and funding security. It's a free publication, so it has to be paid for by someone, although advertising can help more and more. But essentially it began as a program-funded product that somehow or other was able to maintain its independence and be credible through the use of a lot of expert opinion and a lot of openness to public opinion. And somehow or other that worked.
Yeah, that really does stand out. The Bay program really never made any efforts to censor or block any harmful stories. And a really good example, I was thinking about that last night, is sometime around 2000, I think it was, the Bay Program's Scientific and Technical Advisory Committee did a review of the Bay Program's models, and it was really critical. It said that instead of modeling an over-enriched estuary, that successfully modeled the biological desert. And I mean, it was really critical. And I remember one evening after hours, BMAT was in his office, and I went to interview him about that. And he was pretty mad about that report. And I remember he swiveled around. I was there talking to him, and he swiveled around, and he was talking to the wall, not to me. But he answered all the questions, and he never said, that's a harmful issue, don't do anything with it. He never attempted to block it. He did answer all the questions. Yeah.
Kudos, BMAT.
I don't know why that was. My wife would say I never would be that
way. From your perspective, what makes the Bay Journal such a unique publication? If you had to boil it down.
I think the Bay Journal shines as a unique publication in the Bay region because we are the only independent, dedicated source of environmental news that people can turn to. You can get it sporadically in a lot of places. You can get it from reporters with moderate to little to no environmental and science background, but we provide it every week, every month, almost every day with reporters who know their environmental subject area.
I think one of the important things about the Bay Journal has always been that it hasn't just reported the news, but it's really explained the news and it's explained the issues and it's tried to promote understanding of why things happen, why it's important, as opposed to just saying, what happened. And that's made it an important source for people who want to learn, as opposed to just, hear a headline of what's going on. And there's a real appetite for that type of thing among the public. You see it in our comments all the time. And so, maintaining that foundation is critical. And then, as Laura was saying, taking that and making more people aware of it.
Karl took the lead in looking over 30 years worth of headlines. He's got the in-depth knowledge because he produced a lot of them. But in talking to him about what he's seen, and he's looked just this year as he's looked back over those 30 years of headlines, the other thing that struck me is some headlines from 30 years ago could be written today. But there are other things that even I remember after about 20 years involved with Bay work that were pivotal moments, but you don't know it at the time. And it led me to look at one of our more recent issues that way. One of the things that's gaining more attention at this moment in time is green amendments to state constitutions. And it left me wondering, in 20 years, would someone look back at that headline as something that was a blip and faded? Or is this the moment when major changes are about to come? And I think what that brought to mind for me was the recognition that as residents of the Bay watershed, we have the power to decide which way it goes.